Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Well, it's time now to review headlines on today's newspapers with the Ombudsman of This Day and Arise Media Group and This Day Newspaper Limited Group Executive Director Kayode Komolafe. O-O-N.
Good morning, Oji.
Thank you.
Good morning.
And
good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah.
All right, let's start the newspaper review. Of course, we'll start with This Day on Sunday. And let's take it from top to bottom. 4 important stories on the cover of today's This Day. The window story says, Tinubu to West African leaders, turn region's demographic strength, mineral wealth into jobs industry. Jobs, 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 as somebody that we all know will say, So that's the president, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, urging West African leaders to turn regions' demographic strength to mineral wealth, and mineral wealth into jobs and industry. Okonjo-Iweala, that's the rider, West Africa must break trade barriers to unlock $500 billion potential. I think that was at the Abuja, the summit, the West African Economic Summit, the 39 billion naira renovated Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu Abuja Conference Center. How is it called now? I just want you're the Abuja big girl.
The Bola Tinubu International
Conference Center. Fantastic. All right, the other story, which is also on page 5, just like the window story, PFAs increase stakes in FGN bonds, stock market to 17.22 trillion naira. Some huge figures there, and of course it shows that the economy or the financial market is solid in a way, even though this might be nominal value that we are looking at. And then the story below the masthead, Outrage, over killing of 71 in Borno, Kano, Kebbi, Plateau, Shettima, Mutfwang, Condemn, attacks. That's also on page 5 of the story. And I see that a number of the newspapers also have it on their cover. Tribune says it is Black Weekend, 71 people dead, just like that. And practically all of the states are northern states, which is getting people to say, why do we have these repeated bombings? Suicide bombs seems to have returned with what happened in Kano, I believe, yesterday. And then the big story itself, the cover of today's This Day, 2027, the challengers, the men who could face President Tinubu. That will be on page 12 of the paper. And we have how many people? 8 of them listed. We have former President Goodluck Jonathan, is described as the reluctant candidate. A lot of people will say that, what is Jonathan doing there? But then the argument would be that maybe he's still entitled to one more term, given the fact that he left office before the law of 2018 that says that you can only take the oath of office only twice. We also have on the list Atiku Abubakar, and is described as the waiting for the marabout. the man who has been running after the big position for forever.
Yeah.
And then Peter Obi, hopeful candidate, did fantastically well 2 years ago. Does he still have the momentum? KK will tell us. Bukola Saraki on the sideline, still waving the PDP flag, of course. And then Rabi Kwakwanso, challenger from Kano.
From that one Kano,
and then NMPP in Kano, is still there. Chibuike Amechi, table shaker, is described as. He's shaking the table, isn't it? He was hungry as at the last time we heard from him. Is he still hungry?
Always that question, Steve.
But now he's a table shaker.
Now he's a table shaker.
He would need to feed himself well to be able to shake the table well. And then Nasir El-Rufai, the disruptor. This day on Sunday says, Nasir El-Rufai, will he run against Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu? And then Ibrahim Shekarau, calm before the storm. I think about 8 or 10 years ago, Ibrahim Shekara would probably be outside of Buhari, would be one of the, golden faces that Northerners would think that they should rally behind. But then he's been off the radar for a long time. Will he have the wherewithal to challenge President Tinubu in 2027? I think all this boils down to the ADA, the new party that they couldn't get the name of the
Well, how many of those are in the ADA?
Eight
There's
people
Atiku in the ADA that registered, I believe it was yesterday or Friday, was it? There was Atiku, there's also Amechi and El Rufai.
Those are the three that we know to be sure.
But I don't know if they've confirmed officially yet that they registered.
They will,
there's a circular out
they will have to
already.
represent
They
the
have
letter
made
to INEC because they couldn't get the name of INEC correctly in their letter. And people are saying that it was a typo. Okay. KKO says it's a typo.
So it should be overlooked, is it? It should be overlooked.
You think that INEC will overlook it?
You said?
You think INEC will overlook it?
They can withdraw the letter and write it. I mean, I don't think it's an issue. It's just
Exactly.
a typo. Yeah.
But they received
don't
it
make an issue out of
they received the...
KK.
We all make
mistakes
and have typos. When
Error is
yes.
human.
But they didn't call your OOM. They didn't call your OOM.
But they have submitted the application. INEC received it on the 20th of July. So,
and then noted the error in it.
Yes.
So let's see whether, how it will be treated. But 3 of them in ADA at least are there. Some will say Ada.
The Ada
with the cutlass.
There was the cutlass. There was the issues around the logo, whether it was, is it fully a corn that is on it, or is it, I don't know. Go ahead.
They will unravel soon, KK, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
They gave me some.
Game on.
Game on.
27.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. For this day, I'll elect to start with the window story.
Yes.
Because this what happened yesterday in Abuja was the first West African Economic Summit.
Right.
And again it's coming the golden jubilee of ECOWAS. I think it's very significant, and more also for the very important statements that were made by those in attendance. Maybe we'll just take the statement of President Tinubu and that of the WTO Director General, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. You may say what President Tinubu was drawing attention to is obvious, but it's a matter that cannot be overemphasized. And that is that the region, on the one hand, has what we could call a demographic advantage, of being largely a youthful population. But saying that, that advantage, if you don't do what is necessary, will easily turn into liability. That is, if you have a huge youthful population, you're not. There's no adequate investment in education, in digital infrastructure, in innovation, human capacity development. Then you'll not be able to harness, the advantage which which the region, could gain there. And he also emphasized, the importance of regional integration, and working together. Like he says that it's either develop together, or we collapse, separately. That's a soundbite in the statement of the president. And for the WTO DG, saying that we have a $500 billion, a $500 billion regional economy. And that 500 regional economy, you cannot realize the full potential if the mission of ECOWAS to start with, is not realized. That is, strengthening the intra-regional trade, and also, cooperation, working together. I think these are very important statements. So that, the hope is that what happened, the summit will not be another jamboree, And the only way by which will not be another jamboree is to ensure that some of the ideas that were richly harvested yesterday are put into practice by way of implementation of policies in the respective countries of ECOWAS. Then quickly, we'll take the political story. The security story is in the other paper, so maybe when we take the other papers, we can take it. Okay. Well, let's take the political story because these days presentation is very dramatic. Although you may say you also have the same stories. The same story, reflected on the other front pages. That is the emergence of a new party that is applying, for a registration. Typo or no typo, I think that you have on display now, the very strong move by some political heavyweights to register a party. Now. Yes, the faces that are shown here, no doubt, like these days, presented, they are what we can call, presidential hopefuls, and indeed, don't forget, some of them have either been aspirants, presidential aspirants before. President Goodluck, has been president, like Steve said, he still has, constitutionally, he can still contest, one more time. Vice President Atiku is been an aspirant for a long time. A formidable aspirant is what we find in Mr. Peter Obi, former Senate President Bukola Saraki, Dr. Kwankwaso, who was a candidate, in the last election and one of the front loader. Right Honorable Shibuke Rotimi Amechi, remember in the APC primary, he actually came second.
Yeah, he did very well.
Yes.
The primaries, yeah.
Yes. Ditto for Malam Nasir El-Rufai and Laji Shekara. But the point that should be made is that the need that we should elevate this discourse. The election is still maybe 2 years away. No, yes. Even if and there is nothing, and I don't think there's anything that is wrong, either legally or otherwise, in people expressing, ambition. It's legitimate, for people to have ambition and then promote it. But I'm saying that even right now, we should be associating these aspirants, these possible candidates, with certain ideas.
Okay.
Yes,
so for example,
it's not about. What I'm saying is that in the media, we should not just be discussing ambitions of people. We should be saying that, for instance, that this is what Vice President Atiku, the passion he has in certain areas, and these are the ideas he has, in solving, problems in certain areas. So that when you mention Atiku, then that idea will come into you. So then you know whether you are in agreement or in this.
I agree with you, and we always talk about this, especially when we talk about ideology and party ideology or individual ideology. But there are certain policy stances that some individuals have. Like, for example, Vice President Atiku has come out before and said that we need to have ranches, right? So it was in his platform saying that we can't have open grazing. This is part of why we have insecurity in the country. I'm not sure if the former Senate President Saraki has spoken on that idea, but they have spoken on different things. But for the average Nigerian, the same issues that they have now are issues that they have had for 10, 15, 20 years. Food inflation is high. There's no electricity. Perhaps their houses are getting flooded, and perhaps they're unsafe. And so we want elevated discourse, but our problems are still
the same.
Base level problems.
Same problems. So, but I guess the idea really is to match these candidates with what you think Nigeria needs first, right? I mean, in terms of Atiku Abubakar, how strong is his economic policy advocacy, right? We've also heard a lot from Peter Obi, his push really is about moving from consumption to production. What do we know for Chibuike Rotimi Amechi? What are his strong policy stands. Same goes to El Rufai. Same goes to, obviously, Kwankwanso. We have seen Jonathan. We have experienced him because he was president for, what, 5 years, was it? So, I mean, I guess you are right. We should continue to associate them with their various policies instead of just saying who are these strong contenders.
I get that point before we move on, but I also get the point of the editorial judgment, you know, that informed the cover of this day.
Okay.
It is good, you know, for developmental journalism to look at the benefits to the nation, you know, when you are discussing political issues. But to the editor who's also picking his lead for the story, is also looking at commercial viability for his paper. Like you always say. Like I always say, you know, because at the end of the day, the editor will be judged by how well his paper is doing, you know, in the market. And I think that the two can coexist.
Yes.
If you look at the paper, like the cover of this day, like this, it is attractive. You want to pick it. And if you are the type that you are interested in politics, what strikes you is the fact that, okay, if these 8 gentlemen are truly outside of Tinubu's camp, then it looks like maybe there can be competition in 2027.
Yes.
Especially if it turns out that all these 8 agree to pick one of them and queue behind him. And then you can see a fight. So at the level of political engagement, this is brilliant. This is 100% fantastic journalism.
Yeah.
But then it shouldn't stop there, like AK has always you know, advocated. So if you now pick somebody, if it turns out that they pick Jonathan, how well did Jonathan perform when he was there?
Yeah.
That will be the key issue to discuss. If it is Atiku, will his age count? Will the fact that he's been running like was the American president that ran for, you know, for several times before he eventually became a president? Will
Lincoln,
what's his name?
Lincoln.
Lincoln.
Yeah.
You know, will he be like our own Lincoln, for example? If they all settle for Mr. Peter Obi, what can you associate him with? Is it from moving from consumption to production, or what will he be? Because he also agreed that he will have removed subsidy, he will have devalued the naira, etc. So all those engagements will come without saying that this is, you know, that this is not necessary. So this is the type of a Sunday paper that I will enjoy.
And I agree with all of you, but if you just permit an addendum,
yes.
I hope with this now, especially with your analysis, then that the bogey of one-party state, I mean, should go to rest.
It's defeated already.
Because if you are having this, to me it does not make any sense for anybody to be having this bugbear of a one-party state.
Yeah. Well-balanced conversation.
What? I was just going to say, because we've been talking about competition, even with our previous guests, we were talking about competition. But how competitive? There's a dominant player. How competitive can you be in the cement market or in the sugar market when Dangote is the big dog?
Trust me on this one. If you have these 8 men agree to one person,
I agree with you there. I agree with you there. It's interesting times ahead.
Interesting.
Absolutely.
Should we take the Sunday Tribune?
No, we're going to this day
style.
Let's do this day style first. The cover picture, this day style. This day style is celebrating Sam Amuka Kwemu at 90, the journalism icon. And the editor's notes there, before journalism became hashtags and hot takes, there was Sam Amuka, pen in hand, truth on his tongue, and humor sharp enough to cut through the noise. Few names in Nigerian journalism command as much reverence as Prince Sam Amuka Kwemu, affectionately known as Uncle Sam or Sad Sam. At 90 years old, he remains the nation's oldest practicing media professional, a living legend, a conscience in ink, and a man whose dedication to truth and storytelling has defined the very fabric of Nigerian media for over 6 decades. A huge congratulations. 90 is no small feat. We have been celebrating our prince, our Uncle Sam, for over a week now. I
actually a
believe,
prince.
yes, he's a prince.
He's a prince.
But I want
Yeah.
to say our
Of this-
Uncle
yeah.
Sam, because that's what,
He's an
you know,
Ishekiri,
yes,
yeah.
he's an Ishekiri prince, Prince Uncle Sam. Absolutely. And he had a party, I believe, last weekend.
Was
We had,
that a party?
yes, we had a
Is
lot
it
of
beautiful?
people.
Oh, yes, I was
you
there.
were at the party, so you can tell us the people that were there. I
Look,
know that
Keke was there too.
Keke was there. Prince Nduka Obaigbena was there.
Absolutely.
I saw a picture with obviously Peter Obi and Bayo Ononuga and the Duke as well.
Everybody was
everyone was there. Everyone, the who of the who's in journalism and Nigeria.
You have some of the photographs inside.
Yes, absolutely.
When
The
you enter a
photographs
hall
are
like
inside,
that,
yeah.
where Uncle Sam, was being celebrated, you won't have any doubt as to who a journalist is.
Yes.
And
Wale Soyinka was there
and if
too.
you were not there, except for those who are occupied with other journalistic activities,
Yes.
then maybe you're not the journalist. But I'm
I
saying
wasn't there.
no, that's what I'm saying, that you were busy.
I was just messing with you.
KK, just two quick things. In addition to the beautiful celebration that has been accorded Uncle Sam, and we can't stop celebrating him. Just two things that I want to add to the thing. We pray that he will be with us for much longer, particularly a few people who, fairly regularly have the privilege of being with him in his guest house. His guest house is just a stone throw from his home in a part of Lagos that is beautiful here. And then once you sit with Uncle Sam, over a bottle of wine, over fine dining and stuff, the quality of discourse that you enjoy with him, you can't trade it for anything. So
Very nice.
I pray that Uncle Sam will be with us for much longer.
Absolutely.
So that can continue. The other part will also be to say that, again, we pray that he will be with us for much longer because of the role that he has consistently played in the Nigerian Guild of Editors. He will be with us in Enugu, where the National Convention of the Nigerian Guild of Editors will happen on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday of this new week. He will be there with his longtime good friend, Aremon Segun Oshoba. And he has done that like that forever, when it comes to matters of the Nigerian Guild of Editors. We'll be happy to welcome him again and celebrate him even more in Enugu.
Well
so, KK,
said,
I'm sure
well
that
said.
you have loads to say about Uncle Sam.
Okay, just briefly, I think Uncle Sam is the doyen of the doyen of the journalism profession today. Although it's wrongly saying in the media, we say a doyen or doyen. No, you can only have only one doyen. And the doyen of journalism in Nigeria today is Uncle Sam Amuka. Just in addition to the very beautiful things that Steve has said, that this man, for people of older generation, to remember him with his a pen name, which he wrote in the Daily Times in the 60s, which is Sad Sam, which is an expression of his displeasure with the state of things and how critical, it was. And particularly that he had a sort of inimitable style. Like, will make his point as pungent, as critical as possible, but in a way that perhaps will not easily irritate, the establishment, but could be very penetrating and get his, points, light-hearted and dressed, but at the same time, passing through his point, So, as for his professional, lifelong professional commitment, that in itself is a model, like I said, and a huge, source of inspiration, for those upcoming people who want to make a career in journalism. In his personal life, of course, Uncle Sam is not a saint. He's a human being like any other person. Have his foibles, but there are certain virtues which I think recommend it, and that is this modesty about life, in a humility.
Absolutely.
Uncle Sam approaches life in a very simple manner. No bile, no, I mean...
Mr. KK, you are just the same. You are exactly... and that's what I also see in you as well, your humility and all of that. I mean, that's as beautiful as you are.
So, Uncle Sam, like Steve said, we pray that he will live longer in good health, enjoy, so that he will continue to be, a model, and a huge source of inspiration. And we should not forget this, that day, he was honored, eminently honored,
He was.
by the presence of the Olu of Warri.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know, and I remember
Fantastic.
Olu of Warri was saying that in the old hall,
Yes.
he was the only person who could call Uncle Sam his son.
Oh.
And Uncle Sam, when he was addressing the Olu, knelt down. Knelt
Wow.
down.
It was
yes.
such a beautiful moment.
And Chiba Osoba said that until when we got to the hall, you know, when we met, you know, Uncle Sam was not wearing his cap. He had a cap. And when Chiba Osoba asked him, no, put on your cap. You are the birthday boy.
Yes,
You know,
birthday.
said no. That as an Ishekiri man,
can't-
he would not wear his cap when Olu was expected to be present.
Even as a prince.
Yes, as a prince. So later, Oluna had to order him
Ask him
that
to,
now I
you
now
know.
permit you, I now authorize you now to put on your cap.
That's
You know,
so
I think he knelt down twice.
Oh,
You know,
wow.
for Olu while addressing the Olu, and she was also gave a testimony that even while talking to the Olu on phone,
Yeah.
that you will see Uncle Sam genuflexing. You know that they say,
That's
and you know, and the respect, the you know, the homage that he paid to
Yeah.
the Olu was so phenomenal, you know, because at every point he would just say, Modokwe, you know, Ogiame, Modokwe. It was so colorful and was so moving, you know.
Oh, thanks for sharing that.
it's a
Thanks for
remarkable
sharing that,
man.
Mr.
And
King.
at
Happy
90,
birthday. Happy birthday
he
to
still
Uncle
got the
Sam.
moves,
Yes.
by the way.
Oh, is that it?
Ebenezer Obey.
Dance
Dance to Sugar Band. Yeah.
I
It
wouldn't
was
want
such a
to
glorious
miss,
day.
miss that.
It was.
And well deserved. Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, a
Fantastic.
toast
A
to
great man, yeah.
Uncle Sam. A toast. Happy
Happy
90th
birthday.
birthday to Uncle Sam.
All right. Sunday
this
Tribune.
one.
This
Okay,
one.
I think it's time for the Sunday Tribune, and unfortunately, every single story on the Sunday Tribune is not as delightful as what we have been discussing today. The lead there says Black Weekend, many killed in suicide bombing, explosion in Borno and Kano. The lead there says irate youths kill 12 persons who missed their way to a wedding ceremony in Plateau, and 22 attackers have been arrested. The story under that says 2 prison officers suspended after convicted prisoner was found processing international passport. I'd love to hear Mr. Steve's comments on that, particularly because of Trump's travel ban.
What was it?
Prison officers suspended after convicted prisoner was found processing international passports. This is coming when Trump is mulling a travel ban on Nigeria. Ondo State government says that kidnappers who are found guilty will die by hanging. And a very sad story there, reporting on what happened in Benue State earlier last week, where it says, we thought Iyawata was safe. Survivors recount ordeal in makeshift camp. And the Chief of Army Staff says they will go after the Benue killers because, of course, as we all know, a lot of the people who were killed in Iyawata were IDPs, which means
Yes.
they were displaced people who have already fled from another home
Imagine
to
that.
a makeshift home and unfortunately met their end there. KK, you said, you know, because this day also says outrage of killing of 71 in Borno, Kano, Kebbi, Plateau. And now we're talking about Black Weekend. I think the Vanguard calls it Bloody Weekend.
I think,
Punch also.
Yeah.
So I think, so where do you want to?
okay, maybe we'll just take it together for all the papers. You know, like you rightly said, Adiswa, you know, is such a bad, I mean, such a sad thing that we still have, I mean, you know, the reports of bloodletting, and which, obviously, you know, that, you know, tells us, you know, the huge challenge, you know, before the security authority, you know, but perhaps on a consolation, perhaps, would be that, you know, when the president was in Benue, you know, last week, when he was in Benue last week, you know, it's noteworthy that he himself, you know, was, you could see the seriousness, you know, that was taken, that, you know, openly, you now had to, you know, give, you know, had to charge, you know, both the defense authorities, you know, represented by the CDS, and the police, the IG of police, you know, that, you know, more needs to be done. For instance, if you are having these killings, you know, it is not, it doesn't show us to be a serious country that you don't have the perpetrators, you know, the suspect, you know, being arrested and being taken, you know, the due process of law. Apart from the fact that the security people, will continue to do, should continue to do what is necessary, ensuring that people are safe. And I also say that while we mourn, while our hearts go to those who are bereaved, and also we wish those who are injured, language who are in the hospital, quick recovery. We must not also forget that while we are having this report, of people being killed, that the soldiers, security men, policemen, security agents, are also losing their lives.
Yes.
A lot of our young men and women, So that so we must also be in solidarity, with the armed forces and security people, and acknowledge, the sacrifices they are making, while also being in sympathy with their respective families, that widows, have created, orphans, are there, who of the security, and the defense people, So all it just shows is that the challenge is still there, and that more still need to be done to keep Nigerians safe, for
I
everybody.
think for me, more
part,
importantly, really, is to see these perpetrators brought to book. Last week, when the president was in Benue State, he did question the IGP. Why has there not been arrests made? And this is the question a lot of families want to know. Yeah. Who are these perpetrators? Why haven't they been, arrested? Why are they built? Who are these people? And then we see videos circulating on social media of some people who've come out to say, yes, I committed this crime. What's happening with that? I mean, I've seen this video trending for over a week now since the Benue attack. Nothing's happened yet. So as much as we, commiserate with some of our military or security officials that have passed, we urge them, really, this is the most important thing for us now that, we are bleeding. We want to know what really is going on in these states, really.
I honestly feel that I get drained by this, because we're having the same conversations because we're not fixing these issues structurally. It's one thing for us to discuss retributive killing in Edo State. It's another thing for people to kill people on the way to a wedding because they suspected something. And because I see also the phrasing, somebody will say suspected herders. What is a suspected herder? No, I do not understand what the meaning of a suspected herder is. You can have herdsmen. You can say there's suspected terrorism, there's suspected banditry, but what does it mean to be a suspected herder? You could have herders who are violent, and you could have some who are not violent.
Well, when they say suspected herders, there are witnesses around that have seen these people that are herders that actually did commit the crime. Like if you've seen some of the testimonies of some of the victims, I guess that's what they mean because of intelligence and security.
We've also had the chief of army staff come out and say that some of these people are not Nigerian.
Yeah. True.
We've had it saying that it's a coordinated attack. That a coordinated attack aimed at communities is terrorism. It's by definition terrorism. Yeah. And I think we need to use the language properly to describe what it is.
They're all terrorists, really. Terrorists.
Yes, I agree with Adesua, because in this matter, in kind of the Outrage, because we are having a press review, is that the way we mix up the identity question, rather than helping to solve the problem is even compounding it. I mean, to be an artsman, it's not a criminal thing. It's a job. It's a job. But if you have somebody who is an artsman and then committing crime, committing and killing people, then that person is a killer. Is maybe a terrorist. And it should be treated as short. I mean, it's the same thing when every story you say Fulani. It's what's it called? You said adjective. Now. It does not help the situation. You are dealing with a criminal. And so being a criminal is identity. It's identity. Of being a Fulani or being it's not what makes him to be the criminal. But the thing, like you said, is that having committed a crime, then the law should take its course.
Absolutely. Well, we have to sign off.
So we hope that both the CDS and the IG, they will, take up the charge.
We have to go. On a good note, Sunday Telegraph is saying that federal government were working with Armenia to evacuate Nigerians in Iran. Yesterday we discussed that, so that's beautiful. And on a not so good note, Punch is saying marketers raise petrol price to 955 naira per litre.
We had a few good conversation earlier.
Exactly.
Well, hopefully the prices might go down after these.
Trump bandy rant, so I hope all the Trump fans are happy.
All right.
Well, all right. Mr. Komolafe,
KK.
would like to
Thank
thank you very much for joining us on the newspaper review this morning. We hope to see you next week. Thank you very much.
I'm pleased to be here.
All right. That brings us to the end of the morning show today. Thank you for watching and do stay safe. I'm Steve. Ayorinde.
Well, it's a rainy but wonderful Sunday morning. Thanks for sticking with us. I'm Adesua Giwalsage.
And I'm Ojiokwe from our entire team here in Lagos, Nigeria. Enjoy the rest of your morning and, of course, the rest of your day. Goodbye.